Welcome back to Comic Shop Talk, everybody, on the Late Night Collectors community. I'm your host, Nico, and joined with me today, as always, is my co-host, Chris.
Cheers.
What's going on? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Yeah, once again, thank you, everybody, for tuning into the channel. If this is your first time checking us out and you like what you saw here today, make sure to subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button, hit the like button for us. Make sure you hit the notification bell to be notified every week when these videos do come out. You can also follow us on Instagram at Late Night Collectors Community to be notified of when the shows are about to drop. I've been airing them live for you guys lately, so you can always go in and make comments in the chat during the live broadcast. Tune in live to watch us, or if not, you can always go back to our YouTube page and look at our shows in the playlist. And yeah, episode 43. As always, though, we're going to be talking about the books here today, guys. So be forewarned. Here's your spoiler warning. We're going to be talking about what's happened in some of these books. We're going to be showing off art from the books. So if there's something that you're worried about, you can always read your books and come back and check us out later. Or, just, as I mentioned, be forewarned here. So if that's something that doesn't bother you, it might get you interested in something you didn't know about. If you want to hear us talk about these things, hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you thought. Let's keep the conversation going. We're going to be talking about the books for the week of September 14th, 2022 today. New comics that came out this week. All right, Chris.
All right, well, let's talk comics.
Talk those comics. Here we go.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right, let's see what we got here. First up today on the docket, we got Axe Judgment Day number 4. Bring up the art here. All right. Yeah, this event seems to be moving along here. We're 4 of 6 already. So yeah, what'd you think of this one, Chris?
I thought, woo-wee, this was a banger. See, there's a ton of peeps getting judged. Not too jazzed about some of the people that got judged worthy. But it's always fun to see the people that didn't pass the tester. I don't know if they passed or not. They kind of either didn't want to be judged. I don't know, like Dr. Doom. I don't know if he passed or not. You just kind of had to. What did the guy tell him? He goes, just say Reed Richards is smarter than you, then you pass. And he just starts laughing, and then the prognosticator, I don't know, whatever his name is. I don't know. He just seemed to give him a pass. Just let it ride.
He did, because they mentioned it. I mean, you don't see his judgment like in the art, but they did mention the fact in the dialogue that, yeah, he since he walked off so confidently, he's like, I'll pass him. Like his reasonings were interesting for these. I like some of them.
Like, yeah, some were fun and some were kind of just blah, but there's more hits than misses.
Yeah.
And what else? And just the way this issue kind of keeps hitting these beats there, but they're all unexpected things. This movie, the story's moving in ways I didn't think could be going. Mm-hmm. And I think it's great. I'm waiting for more.
Well, that's to your point. I think that's why it's actually a good event, because it isn't actually like most events. Like it is telling a different type of story. Like it's not just people punching each other essentially, right? Like, I mean, which, as we've been getting some of that over in Dark Crisis, which I've also been enjoying, this is something completely different. And yeah, to your point, again, like it's gone in directions I didn't expect it to. We got we had 3 pages in this issue of literally these 6-panel grids of him going around judging people, right? And like the reasonings behind them were a lot of them were pretty interesting, right? Like I like Daredevil, you get big thumbs down, right? Like, I mean, he's fucked up.
I know, don't worry.
I know, but he's somebody who's like, always been in touch with his faith and everything else, like, and had his own troubles in that sense. But I mean, they mentioned that they're like, he's made a lot of mistakes. Like he's messed up a lot, like for somebody who's supposed to be a protector and everything else of these people. Like you've you've made a lot of errors, right, along the way. And then like Miles got the thumbs up and he just gave him the thumbs up back. You know what I mean? Like he turned around and like gave him the thumbs up, and he's like, I flashed him the thumbs. And then like one of the kids apparently didn't study or something. He's like, oh, they're young, I'm gonna give them a pass on this one, or something like along those lines. And he's like, I'm not a monster. Come on. Like it was some of the dialogue for this guy. It was very funny. Like his reasonings as to why he was giving people thumbs up, thumbs down. It was entertaining. Like it really was.
Yeah,
arcs,
and then when
right?
the story gets moving with everything else that's going on, there's some crazy things I think happen in this in the end of the story here.
Yeah, so again, the Uranus guy there, they kept threatening to like let him loose, which they ended up having to do, I think, again in this. But then Jean Grey, like, she took over the mind of this, not Decepticon, whatever the hell the thing's
The
called.
Unimind or whatever.
Yeah, that's it. That was called a Decepticon, whatever they could. Those things that they were running around the Earth, like, you know what I mean, like fighting or whatever. She took it over in this one, and yeah, Magneto had quite a moment in this issue, like his whole
Sure.
from the last, I guess, X-Men Red or whatever, even the last issue of this. He got messed up and he apparently has no heart left and he collapses in this. Like, it looks like he's dead. Like, so,
Yeah, that's what I got out of it. I thought he's dead. It seems, but
yeah,
who
he
knows?
was circulating the iron in his blood around to like make up for the fact that his heart is gone or something like that. Like, and which is pretty crazy. So he's got like this orb of electricity going, it seems like, in the middle of his chest, and he kind of has his final like say here at the end, like in terms of helping out the mutants. But yeah, Storm's holding him here, and he looks like he's done here at the end, and he has no backup, so they claim, right? So
Yeah,
like, on Krakoa, like he erased it to make a point with the their new people that they were living with on Mars there. So I don't know what the hell's gonna happen with Magneto now, right? So that's interesting, and that whole
yeah, that kind of Star Fox thing, and or yeah, I think it was just it's good stuff. Yeah, and
yeah,
then what? And there too were I don't even know what's going on there, but bad things are happening, and we'll see what's going on.
yeah, it was a good issue. I've been liking the event quite a bit, actually. Yeah, if you're kind of burnt out on events, or this is an event, or if you normally don't check out events because you think you know all they have to offer, especially if you're reading the X-Men books, you may want to check this one out. It's actually quite good so far, I gotta say. It's giving us a lot of stuff that not only were we not expecting, but I think that events normally don't give you. And it's not just people punching each other in the face. So you got
Yeah,
that. It's there's a lot of other interesting things. I mean, I love the judging. The judging is hilarious.
yeah.
So what'd you give this one?
I'll give it a 4.25. I liked it.
Ooh, I'm gonna give it a 4. Solid issue. All
Yeah.
right. Next up, we got X-Men Red #6, which is a tie-in to Axe Judgment Day as well. What'd you think of this?
I just wish I read this before the Judgment Day. I tried to kind of look to see the order these were supposed to be in. And, you know,
Yeah.
and on the checklist, X-Men Red was after Judgment Day 4. So,
Yeah.
okay, it happens after. Then when you read it, like, oh, okay, don't worry, this takes place before Judgment Day 4. But otherwise, I still didn't mind it. I thought it was a good story. What do we have here? Yeah, we have all the Iraqi there. They're still trying to hold the line. This is before everything that happens in Judgment 4 or Judgment 4. I like the way they had that NASA scientist in the beginning. Kind of the story was kind of coming from his perspective before everybody showed up. Thought that was good. There's a lot of explaining of who's who in there, and I needed that, but I thought it was a little bit too much. Well, like, it was good to have there, but it wasn't really fun to read. You know, they're kind of describing each kind of person that was fighting. And then
Yeah.
with all those monsters kind of healing and coming back, I thought that was a nice kind of story point.
Yeah. Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't my favorite issue, to be honest with you. And yeah, as we go on throughout the episode today, you're gonna see a theme somewhat with me. I'm kind of taking a little inspiration from Chris too, because since doing the show and really getting into a lot of the books that we've been talking about too, I've my pull list has grown quite large as well over time, and we got to clear the decks a little bit because there's going to be a lot of new release stuff coming out moving into the new year that may be added on to the list. And every so often I try to evaluate all the books that I'm reading, right? With this issue of this particular one of X-Men Red, I'm going to probably drop this. I'm going to start reading some of these things digitally. I don't think I need to own the issues for certain characters or certain books in my collection per se. It doesn't mean that I don't want to read them or I won't pick it up in a collected edition after the fact, like a trade. But something like this, now that Magneto looks like he's dead, especially, and I don't know if they're going to end up doing anything with that. I hope they do, but and bring him back somehow. I don't know how, but I mean, obviously they're going to bring Magneto back at some point, maybe not in this series. I don't know. But with Magneto dying though right now, I'm like, I really don't care about a lot of these other characters in this book, to be honest with you. I think that's like X-Men Red has been good. Like, you piqued my interest with it. That's why I ended up picking up all the back issues and catching up to this point. And there's been some good stuff that's happened, but I can't tell you that I love this book because I really don't care for most of these characters. Like, I'm not a Storm fan. Like, what's his name, Bobby there, like, he's okay. These aliens, I don't even know who happened.
Yeah, I'm not too big on those Iraqi, I guess.
Right.
People.
So I think I'm dropping this book. I think I maybe have one issue more pre-ordered or something like that. I'm gonna probably continue to read this digitally. But yeah, I think I might be dropping the issues. Yeah, so get ready. This is the Purge episode, everybody. You're gonna hear me talking about some books I'm gonna be dropping completely or just dropping in issues. So this is one of them. But it's just because, like I just said, like, it wasn't bad. This issue was fine, but I if Magneto is gone, I don't really care about what's going on Mars as much. And I feel like we got enough stuff going on with the X-Men team and Krakoa and the council that I'm pretty happy with that. Like, I felt like this gave you the full picture, which it does. This gives you the other part of the equation, but I really don't care about what they got going on Mars with these Iraqi, to be honest with you. Like, and Magneto dying was not a good thing for me. Like, if he's going to be off the playing field for a while now, like, so I love Magneto. So, like, the fact that he kind of he moved into this book, I was like, oh, okay. And then the best moment of this series has been with Magneto, quite honestly. Like, it has been with him. The best moment of this series.
Well, once again, this is probably one I might be dropping as well. I just bought it because it was the tie-in.
Yeah.
Unless some crazy things really start going on in here, but
yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So what'd you give this one?
I'll give this 3.75. I still did like the issue.
I'll give it a 3.5. This one. Yeah. All right. Next up, we got Edge of Spider-Verse number 3.
So we got to take the glare out of there. So we got some more Spider people. What do you got? We have Spider-Man India. That's a little meh. Basically, it wasn't much of a story. It's just all this inner dialogue where you see Spider-Man India kind of just, having these confrontations with some, I guess, big villains. But he's not really fighting any of them. He's just talking in his head about why he's talking or who he's talking to. And, just stuff about, I guess, his version of Uncle Ben and Aunt May and how they're all important. So that story wasn't too much. And anyways, that's good enough there. But you have the Night Spider, which is, I guess, based on Felicia Hardy. This character might have some legs. This was a fun story to read. And she seems to be an interesting character because it's more Felicia Hardy. I think she gets bit by some spider jewel or something like that.
Yeah, it's in there. Yeah.
And then she's still a thief, and then she kind of turns herself in to get arrested because stealing has become so easy now with all her powers. And then I guess that Madam Web shows up, or Arana, whatever her name is. She shows up and says, hey, we got to fight it. And, we got the most challenging heist to do here. So, and then she just jumps in a portal, and I guess we'll see her however this story plays out. Mm. And the last story is a Sakura Spider. It's basically a story kind of done in the manga style, I think, just.
Yeah.
That was all nice, I don't know, not much of the story, but, I thought the art was nice, and it's good to read, see where this goes. But it did have sort of a tie-in at the end to the bigger story. And for this one, I'd give it a 3.75 too. I didn't really care much for Spider-Man India, that Sakura Spider, but that Night Spider might be something.
Nice. Yeah, I liked the art on that one. I thought that was a pretty good. I mean, Spider-Man India there, I think, was before.
Yeah, I think he's a character that's been out there.
Yeah, I think he was in the original Spider-Verse stuff. I think they did, and maybe this Night Spider was too. But that's the first time I think I've ever seen her in this series. So I don't know if, but the other guy was around in, I think, the Dan Slott Spider-Verse series. I think he was around too. So, all right. Next up, we got Captain Marvel 41.
Yep. So this is the end of I guess there's the trial of Captain Marvel going on. And she sort of passes. I guess she was fighting that dragon there, and that dragon ends up being one of her friends, and the way she beats it is by yielding to the dragon. And I guess that was sort of the test. And there's that council of magicians there that were judging her. They kind of have some argument about whether she passed or not. And that's okay. But I guess she makes amends with Amora in here. Because I guess this is where all this started, is because in one of the previous stories, Captain Marvel killed Enchantress's son, and that's why she was all upset with her. And then she's trying to tell the Enchantress that, look, you basically told me to kill your son because your son turned into a monster, and this is how it played out. You know, if you don't believe me, read my mind. So she reads her mind and kind of gets an idea, but she's still not too pleased about it. And Binary decides to take off too, so she might be out of the story onto her own adventures, I guess. We'll see where that goes. But, you know, the next issue is Captain Marvel's the Judgment Day tie-in, so we'll see how that works out. But it's kind of odd, since she's just been sort of judged worthy here, that she's going right back into another judgment. Right. But it's a fun end to the arc, so, well, maybe not a fun end to the arc, but an end to the arc. And this might be on a chopping block, too. We'll see what the next... You know, I'll definitely get the next issue with the Judgment Day tie-in.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what the next story goes to.
I don't know. The series might be ending soon. I know they announced an omnibus for Captain Marvel by Kelly Thompson, but
if this ends too, I wouldn't be too upset.
I don't know if it's a volume 1 or just that's it. That's the only volume. I think that's the only volume, but if it's a volume 1, maybe they're not canceling it yet, because I've read this one in trade. And I'm probably going to pick up the omnibus. I've quite liked the series. Is that Enchantress thing? Because that's from an earlier storyline, I think, that I read in trade. That's like, I think she had a kid in the future with Namor or something like that.
Yeah. So it's something that happened in the future. I guess she's all upset about that. And
okay. Yeah, she was. Yeah, I remember. I mean, she traveled to the future. I mean, a lot of the book has really been her with her friends traveling around and doing shit. Like that's what the series is, right? I mean, I've always liked her supporting cast in this of Friends, though. I think that she's got a
I think there's like Jessica Drew. I think when
Hazmat,
somebody related to the Ronan the Accuser, or a Cree person, but
yeah. So what'd you give this?
I'll give it I did like it, 3.75. I really kind of liked the comics I read this week. I don't know, maybe I was in a good mood while I was reading them.
It's always good. It helps. It helps. Certainly helps. Yeah. All right. Next up, we got Midnight Suns #1, which I read here. This one right here. This was underwhelming, man.
Glad I didn't get it.
Yeah, you made the right choice, man. Here's the thing about this book. I should like this book. It has like a whole bunch of characters that I really like in this book, but it's just style without substance, man. This is such a bland, run-of-the-mill type story that they're telling in this first issue, and like it felt like this should have been double the size this issue, because like by the end of it, it's all set up and it's not even that fun. Like, and I'm like, this should be much better than it is. Like, I'm reading it. So there's kids from Strange Academy in this issue. Something's wrong with this one girl. Like, you have them at the Blade shows up to the Strange Academy. He's teaching them how to kill vampires. You got Nico Minoru from the Runaways, who I'm a huge fan of there too, with Blade. And you got Wolf. All of a sudden, something happens. There's like some vision where like you find out this girl Zoe. I think it's the girl Zoe from Strange Academy. Like you find out that she's like going to be involved with somehow like the coming of the apocalypse, and then all these magical people or people connected or just people that got like wind of this out in the world all of a sudden all kind of come together at this school because they're going to take on whatever bad shit happens because of this coming apocalypse or whatever. And like, so Wolverine's there, you got Magic there, you got Blade, you got Nico Minoru from the Runaways, you got some sort of a Ghost Rider, Doctor Doom, Agatha Harkness. Like, this should be good. But I don't know if this is just a really bad first issue, or I was just like, I don't know, or just didn't read well to me. But yeah, the art was fine. The story is fine. Like, I like all the characters in this. I should like this. Dr. Voodoo is in this, but it was so just like whatever. Like, it just, the way it was written was just it was all set up. I don't know if the Spirit Rider is this guy from Avengers Forever or something, Chris, or Avengers, that Avengers.
I know there's so many Ghost Riders out there now. It's hard to say who's who.
Yeah, so you got this guy. I don't know. It just was very whatever to me, bland, all set up, not that great. And I think this is only a 5-issue miniseries. I've only pre-ordered the next issue, so I'm out. The Purge, guys, the Purge is happening. I'm out. So I don't even know if I'm gonna keep reading this after the second issue. It depends. I might read it digitally depending on how good the second issue is, but I'm not buying any more issues of this. This is it was very bland. Anyways, by the end, Agatha Harkness comes and she swoops in and she like takes her somewhere, I guess, to protect her. And all these guys are just standing around with their dick in their hands at the end. And of course, Dr. Doom shows up, which, you know, I liked that. But again, like, you already have like all these characters I actually like. So in theory, I should have liked this issue. And it was just very basic to me. So yeah, I'm giving it a 3. Very disappointing. And I really wanted to like this book a lot. It just didn't deliver.
Is there like a video game coming out called Midnight Suns or something?
I don't know. I mean, the Midnight Suns was like from back in the day. It was like a book with like Ghost Rider and Blade and like some other characters too. I can't remember. I remember it was a 90s thing that they did. And I don't know if this is them just trying to rebrand it and bring it back out. Like, it seems like they're trying to put out more supernatural books lately, which I'm not opposed to, but like, this is not a good role. This was written by Ethan Sachs too, the guy who wrote Old Man Hawkeye, which I really liked, like, at least in that book. So I don't know. It might just be a bad first issue, or just very like, I've been there, done that, very basic, cold, like setup issue, because it just didn't really excite me. I was like, yeah, let's do this. And like, it's filled with chock full of characters I like, but I just was just like, yeah, this is fine. Anyways. Then up, we got Predator number 2. Here we go. Predator number 2. This is a good issue. I really like the first issue. This continued the story of this girl who's basically hunting down this predator who killed her family. In the end of the last issue, her ship crashed, that who's basically been like raising her ever since her family died. She speaks with the AI in this ship, so they're very close in that sense. She ended up crash landing on some planet, and she needs a bunch of parts for her ship. So the guy's like, well, listen, it could take anywhere from like 7 to like 21 days for you to venture out and actually come across these parts. You only have food enough for like 10 days of this travel or something like that. You're not going to have it's unwise for you to leave the ship. Like, you're going to die. Right. So she goes out in like this, like Hoth, like, like frozen planet there. And like 10 days in, she's run out of food and she has to like hunt down and kills this alien creature and ends up, eating that way. And then she comes across some like guys that try to attack her out there in the wild. And she ends up like, hurting one of them and basically stealing their speed bike. It felt very Star Wars, this issue. Like, it feels like it's more of like a adventure type story and not necessarily featuring predators every issue, it seems like, so far. So she's just out there trying to survive. And she's like, well, this is funny. Like, if I didn't run into you guys and you didn't actually try to like kill me or steal my stuff, I would be dead right now. So I'm going to let you guys live, but I'm going to take your bike. So then she fucks off on the bike and she makes it to some ship where she's trying to get parts for her ship. And she's watching the monitor in the ship and she sees some old footage of a predator alien that's got her sword or whatever from when she was like a child and they killed her parents. So it looks like she may have tracked down the predator who she's been searching for. At least that predator sneaks up behind her at the end of the issue, and that's kind of where we left it. So I like the art. I think the story's fun. But this is another one where I'm like, I really don't care a whole lot about Predator comics. I felt I'd give this one a whirl, and it has been good. So I'm going to probably keep reading this, but I'm not going to keep buying the issues because I don't really care about Predator that much to like continue buying the actual physical issues. But I'm going to keep reading it. And I think this is a good issue, and I'll give this a 3.75, this one. I think it's something different than I thought what I would have expected from a Predator comic so far. So I'm quite liking the story, the human story they're telling about this girl. So yeah, it's been good.
Nice.
And lastly, Love Everlasting number 2, at least lastly out of these these books that I read here at this point. Yeah, so this is the second issue of the Tom King book that I guess he's been putting out over Substack with Elsa Charretier, or I don't know how you say her name. She's French. Charité, I don't know. She's got, again, like a very Darwin Cook-esque style, very clean lined and kind of perfect for this book that they're trying to write about, like this romance type stuff. Really well done. So the last issue, the end of the issue, we found out that this is kind of like a Groundhog Day type thing where she ends up getting killed at the end of every time that somebody falls in love with her, somebody comes out of nowhere, kills her, takes her out, it restarts again. Or whenever someone kisses her, she moves on to like a next romance novel type scenario, or and where she just, meets a different man, and her life's just been like that. She doesn't know how she got there. She doesn't know why this is happening. But in this issue, and in the first one, you got 3 different scenarios, like 3 different romance situations, different times and places, to kind of give you the idea of what this is. This second issue is more just the one scenario. Like, this is all based in, like, she's a maid for like a rich English guy or something. And she's the help. So she's not as sophisticated as he is. And like, but he's got the eyes for her. And all of a sudden, like, he makes an advance, and he tells her that she's his true love, blah, 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 blah. And then she tries to show her how to do like shot put, like shoot with the shotgun. And she uses that as a way to get close to him and actually steal his shotgun, to where she actually gets into a scenario at the end because she's expecting that the dude who always shows up at the end and kills her is going to come for her once again. And she does. And she actually ends up taking him out, but only after he actually ended up shooting her and her lover there. And it ends the issue with you being unsure whether or not, like, she's going to be transported to another time and place as she's sitting there, bleeding out with this other guy who kind of confessed his love to her. Right. So this is another one where it's like, I really like Tom King. I really like the art. But if this is basically what it is, even with that hook, notwithstanding, I'm probably going to maybe read this digitally, because I feel like this is not something that's necessarily up my alley, but I felt I'd give a shot to, because I think he does good work. And yeah, this has been good. I gave this also a 3.75. But if this is going to be the premise every issue, where it's just like, here's a scenario, and you know what I mean, that's not enough to kind of keep me going, I think, reading in single issue form. So I'm going to probably switch to digital on that. The Purge, Chris. The Purge getting dropped.
Purge continues.
The Purge continues. 3 for 3. That was 3 I talked about. 3 I'm dropping. Reading them in issues. So there you go. It's good. It feels good, guys. All right. Next up, we got Daredevil number 3, Chris. Yeah.
Daredevil 3.
Well, yeah.
So I finally feel like the series is starting, because the first issue was kind of phoned in. The second issue was some 650 legacy number. So now we're getting down to business here. And let's see, we're going to have, the fist is coming, or the Iron Fist, or the fist and the hand are going to be fighting. Doesn't look good for Matt Murdock and his friends. And was there the stuff with Luke Cage and the Stormwinds? I thought that was a side story, but it looks like those Stormwinds have been, I guess, in cahoots with the fist, or the hand, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see where it goes. They mentioned the Punisher in there too, so I'm looking forward to this stuff.
Couldn't agree with you more, Chris. This is the best issue of this relaunch so far. It kind of really came back into focus. Like, let's go over all these things that spun out of Devil's Reign that we haven't been paying attention to the last 2 issues. It was like, this was just a major catch-up issue where they touched on everything from Luke Cage, being the mayor, and that Stromwind stuff, and then also the whole thing with Punisher, and the fact that Elektra, and now like the other girl that trained Elektra, that was in the Elektra Woman Without Without Fear or whatever miniseries. Now they've brought her into this series. No, Aka, or whatever the hell her name is. Yeah, so that was cool. Yeah, basically just everything that they kind of came out with at the end of that Devil's Raid, along with the Elektra miniseries, they finally got to touch on in this. And you know, like I said, Chip Zdarsky has a lot of balls in the air there. He's juggling a lot of different plots right now. They used the last 2 issues to set up this whole other aspect of this story, which is fine. But you couldn't leave these things to be ignored any longer. So I'm so glad that they kind of touched on all this kind of stuff. Luke Cage, actually, while I thought it was stupid in Devil's Reign, I actually quite like him as the mayor in this issue.
Yeah.
It was actually very.
He seems to be taking it seriously. It's like, I can't go out fighting. I'm the mayor now. I got a chance to really do something here.
Yeah, great art, great issue. Yeah, I agree. I think I really needed this issue. I really needed them to fucking bring it back, and he certainly did. And I think, yeah, this is definitely the best issue of this relaunch so far. Yeah, and it kind of ended with him meeting up with Foggy there, and you know, basically saying to him, like, what did he say? Like, he basically wants to come up with a plan with Foggy or something to help everybody. Essentially, yeah. So like, I don't know what he's got planned here, but he's not looking so hot right now. Daredevil. He's struggling. He's struggling just a wee bit, you know, as Daredevil.
Well, he's worried about what he's going to have to do to kind of beat the hand too. Like, he's trying to bring in that guy saying, "Hey, I need someone to kind of pull me back off the edge if I go too far."
Yeah,
and so he's ready to go. He's all in on this, I think.
Yeah. So what'd you give this one?
Yeah, I'll give this a 4. That was good. I liked it.
4.25 for me for this one. Yeah, really great issue.
Nice.
All right, next up we got Batman versus Robin #1. So yeah, I picked this up here. And for anybody who didn't know that might be interested in, the interesting thing about this is not only is it written by Mark Waid, who's also writing Batman and Superman World's Finest, it kind of spins out of that series. So like, I wasn't so sure. I know they had talked about it in that series that they can make sure to check this out. But just because of the title being Batman versus Robin, it seemed like it was going to be like a whole different vibe than that book is, because that's kind of classic and like throwbacky. It feels like Batman, Superman World's Finest, where this is in current continuity, which it is. That is the difference, I think, between those 2 books, and even the tone is different. But there is an interesting carryover of the villain, let's say, from the first arc of Batman, Superman World's Finest that kind of came into this book, this title. So I think for anybody that's interested enough in what's going on in that book, you may want to check this out. The main reason I'd say you want to check this out, and as I mentioned, though, guys, spoilers at the start of the show here, it's not only the amazing Mahmoud Asrar art, which is just phenomenal. I think the art was great in this issue. I mean, he just keeps getting better and better. This is the guy that just did King Conan with Jason Aaron, which I kind of sung the praises of. Great artist. It's Alfred's back, supposedly, which he's been gone for way too long, if you ask me. And I was fine with him reappearing at his door in this. And then there was like a whole, he goes back to Wayne Manor because Bruce basically goes back to Wayne Manor to kind of check on things, and he doesn't really know why he's there. He's like, it's so weird. I chose tonight to come back here, and it's raining out, and all of a sudden he hears a knock at the door, and it's Pennyworth here, Alfred Pennyworth, and he's like, yeah, and it seems like the last memory he has is basically before he got killed, when he was worried about Master Damian Wayne, his son, right? And from there, he goes into the Batcave in the basement. And then you got this other story plot here of Damian, for whatever reason, being possessed or something's going on with him, and magic's involved, along with Harry Potter. Oh, I mean Timothy Hunter, which he is kind of like inspiration of for Harry Potter. A lot of people have tried to stay in the past because he's from Books of Magic and other things from the Vertigo era of DC, and so he's a cool character to see. I don't see him all too often, and some other kid here has got like a genie in a bottle. I'm not that he controls. I'm not too familiar with him. I don't know if you are, Chris. Do you know that kid at all? Or
no, not at all.
Anyways, a bunch of magic characters. Batman doesn't do great against magic necessarily, and they end up running loose throughout the Batcave, like reanimating, like they reanimated the dinosaur, the statue that he's got there. They're on the big coin. Like, I really like that. There was a scene where Batman's fighting all of his old suits. Like, it was kind of like, because they brought the suits to life and they were like punching at him and stuff like that. Like, so they're just causing shit in the Batcave, fucking with them, right? So I'll say this. the whole Batman versus Robin thing, Damian showing up, yeah, I get it. He's possessed by magic or something's going on with him, and you know, I'll get to the point where you find out who the bad guy is at the end here, guys. But that's not the good part about this book. I enjoy the fact Alfred's back. They're finding a way to bring him back into the fold. We don't know why he's back. Something's going on with magic. Damian's messed up. I'm sure it has something to do with that. You know, and maybe that's why he came back to life. But he's back in this, and it's maybe connected to Batman Superman World's Finest. Or sorry, it is somewhat. The art's great. Those are reasons why you need to check this book out. This whole Damian versus his father thing, like, it's been done before. It's not that exciting or interesting, quite frankly. Like, so I hope they figure out some other things to do with this. But like, this was a great moment where he finally gave up and like he said something to him and he's like, "You are Alfred." Like, he gave him a hug. Like, there are some good moments in here. I actually quite like this issue. I thought it was a good one. And then you got all the magic characters in this that are all, you know, Zatanna, he goes to visit Zatanna, and then you find out all the other magical characters like him, John Constantine, and Swamp Thing are like fused together, and like the Etrigan, the demon, is messed up. So like, I like that stuff. Like, I like those characters a lot. So I like how they brought them into it. And yeah, you find out it's Buddy there, Devil Neza from the Batman Superman World's Finest at the end. And next issue.
And isn't that the mother of the Lazarus Pit or something too with them?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. And then they say next issue, House of Secrets. So like, I'm on board. Like, you got the supernatural aspect to it. You got great art. Mark Waid's writing it. Ties into the Superman and World's Finest stuff. The only thing that's like, and maybe that's, I don't know if that's maybe why you steered clear of it originally, Chris, is again, the stupid Batman versus Robin like title, like the fact that these two are fighting or on the outs or whatever. And it's not by his choice. Obviously, this guy's controlling him. Like, we already saw in Superman, Batman that he's able to do that, like take control of these people basically and have them do his bidding. And that's basically what I guess Damian, the situation he's kind of caught up in right now. But like, again, like the whole father versus son, like him being like the pissed off like child, we've seen that done with Damian so much. So that's not the interesting part about this series, but I think everything else is working for me. So what do you think about this, Chris?
Yeah, I thought it was surprisingly good. I didn't really kind of go out of my way to order this when I first heard about it, but it's more of a Batman story. I was worried, like you say, it was going to be more of a story where they're learning, or, you know, Batman or Robin is finding his legs as a new hero or something like that, and more along the veins of that. There was the Batman and Robin, that 3-issue series from a while back, which was still good, but you know, I've had sort of enough of that stuff. But this is it's a full on, you know, a full on adventure, let's say.
Yeah.
And it is very reminiscent of the World's Finest, which isn't a bad thing to be like, because those are fun stories as well.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I forgot about that Devil Neza at the end, and it's fun. Like you said, a good cast of characters. I love seeing all those magic guys kind of all messed up, and we'll see where it goes. I don't know if I'll be buying it anymore just because I missed out on the first one.
Right.
And I figure by the time I do start ordering, this series is going to be over, but I'll definitely try and keep up with it online.
Yeah, I think it's a 6-issue miniseries. So but yeah, I agreed. I agree with you. I think it was quite good. And if you are a fan of Batman Superman World's Finest, I would definitely check this out, guys, if you're able.
And then see if this Alfred is for real still.
Listen, I really hope it is, because like, I feel that he's been off the playing field for way longer than I expected. I mean, like, here's the thing. They continue to use Alfred because they always did flashbacks and everything, and not everything's in continuity. So even though Alfred's been dead and gone, like, he's been in like just as many books, I feel like, as he was before. But but it's not the same, because like it's always like, oh yeah, I remember this time Alfred, blah blah blah, or there's like something that's out of continuity and he shows up like a.
But if he does come back, does Nightwing have to give back all his money or what?
I don't know. That is a good point. I don't know. I mean, this might be the way that they reset this stupidness about him not living at the manor and living at a fucking brownstone in the middle of Gotham.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, like some hipster. I don't know what the hell's going on with that. Like, it's very strange. Like that whole, and they had to mention that at the start of this, of course. And I'm just like, oh yeah, that's still going on. That's right. And like, he still owns the house, but he isn't living there. I don't know what the hell's going on with this whole thing. That's what I mean. I'm like, come on, guys, if this is Mark Waid, going back to the roots of like what makes Batman Batman. Let's bring everything back now. Like, please, like, please do that in this miniseries, because I love Alfred. It's true. Like, he's one of the main reasons why Batman's a good character is Alfred. Like, you need an Alfred, right? Like, without Alfred, I mean, Batman's just a way horrible person, way more horrible person, right? So, you know, he's like the moral kind of compass, I feel like, for Batman, right? Kind of, you know, keeps him on the straight and narrow in a way, right? So, yeah. So what'd you give this one?
I give it a 3.75. I did like the stuff, especially with all those magic guys, like you said.
Yeah. I'll give it a 4. Yeah, I quite enjoyed this. Yeah, really good. All right, Chris, Iron Man 23.
Oh. Okay, this is one of the books on my chopping block. I still might hold on to it because I think it's ending at 25. So Iron Man's trying to... Cool cover, though, that's for sure.
Is it ending at 25? Did you hear that? Or?
Well, I think it's ending at 25 and then starting up again at number 1.
Okay.
I don't know why, but
yeah,
something like that. And, you know, once again, I guess Tony Stark's trying to buy all these weapons out in the world, and he's trying to get the Mandarin rings. And one of his, I guess, his accomplices, that's kind of the front man for this, he gets shot by some time gun that just sends you back in time or to some random place in time. And, you know, and kind of Tony Stark just, oh, well, we'll find him later. We got to continue with this mission to stop this, whoever has all these weapons. I think it's like the source code or something like that. So now he's after the Mandarin rings. I guess he set up a deal for like $3 billion to buy the rings. And you find out later on that, I don't know who some spy or some supervillain is sort of behind all the source code weapons. And then Tony Stark goes there as the person to buy them, and he's trying to kind of talk to him about buying them. And with that gun from the earlier story, or for the earlier in the issue, where he sent his friend back, they sent him to a week later, so he kind of turns the tables on him, and now it looks like that Tony Stark might be out $3 billion, and he doesn't have those rings, and there's some Cobalt man, I guess it's like an Iron Man made of Cobalt, shows up that he's going to have to fight, so we'll see where that goes. It's not a bad story. This started to kind of heat up a little bit. It was a bit in the doldrums before, but we'll see how it goes. I'll give this a 3.75. I still did like it. A couple twists in the story that got me going.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Chris, you need to let me know what's going on in this book, please, man. Venom number 10. You gotta let me know what's going on. Guys, I'm gonna bring it up right here. Is crazy in this book. I don't know what's going on. As somebody who has not been reading this, just looking at the art in this particular issue, I'm like, I don't know what the hell is happening in this one.
Well, there's a lot going on in this issue. Jeez Louise. But this shouldn't be issue number 10. This should be like an issue like 5 or 6 by now. They spent a lot of time early. Like, this is kind of the whole series coming together, and they're trying to explain what's been going on. Because in early issues, you know, you find Venom in this Garden of Eden with all these previous King and Blacks, and they're all kind of wacky. And there's that guy Meridius, and he's sort of trapped there, but he's not trapped. He tries to find his way out. And then Dylan's out there, but I guess the last issue is that there's a symbiote out there, Bedlam, and he stabs Dylan, and then Bedlam's mask is revealed, and it's revealed that it's Eddie Brock. And the rest of this issue is basically all those symbiotes and the whole thing. They're all Eddie Brock. All Eddie Brock from different, not multiversal Eddie Brocks, but just Eddie Brock in different points in time. So it seems like Eddie Brock is going to be living forever because that Meridius guy is Eddie Brock. And Meridius was talking with Kang, so it opens up a whole sort of craziness. And now I guess this is just the current Eddie Brock struggle to try and figure out what's going on, what's true. Like, you know, he can't believe this, but he seems to know it's true. And then they're talking about, you know, the spiral of life and all this sort of stuff. And there's 6 paths or 7 paths. And supposedly there's all these paths there, but there's only been 6 symbiotes that have been around. So there's still one more Venom out there. And maybe that's going to be the key to unlocking everything. And we'll see how it goes. So it's a bit of a trippy story. You know, you got to like that kind of trippiness. And I don't know. It's hard to explain, hard to understand. But that's the 7th symbiote's hand there, which looks more of a classic Venom type of character. We'll see where it goes. And how he ends up fighting with Thor, I don't know who's going to be showing up there. But
well, the problem with that is that should have shipped out like a couple months ago, and it's been super delayed. So for all we know, that probably won't line up with what's going on in the current
yeah.
right? Exactly. Like, so, I mean, you got to take that with a grain of salt, I think, because, yeah, the next issue of Thor is supposed to have that crossover between the, I don't even think it's a crossover. He's just going into Thor's book, I believe.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways. So
yeah, Venom stories go. This wasn't what I was expecting when I bought, or started up this Venom series. But it's a fun ride, and I'm still down for it. Some crazy covers, some crazy characters in there, and unfortunately, all turned out to be Eddie, but we'll see. I'll give this a 3.75.
Nice. All right, next up we got a Righteous Thirst for Vengeance number 11. This is actually the last issue of the series. Remender again ends another series that he just recently wrapped up, the Scumbag, which I think ran like 14 or 15 issues, and that was a great ending. Thinking back on that book at the time when I talked about it too, because I know me and Chris actually talked about it off the air because he ended up reading it after the fact as well. I feel that should have been my favorite of the week that week, but it wasn't for whatever reason. I don't know what beat it, but that was, I think, a really great ending to a series. And I like that Rick Remender, a longtime writer that I'm a fan of here, has been doing these smaller series because he did these like Deadly Class, 40, 50, 60 issue type runs over at Image, that he started like several years ago, these series. And lately he's been putting out these ones that are like, this like 11 issues or the other one like 14 issues. Like not everything's going to be like a 60 issue worthwhile series, right? So I'm glad he's been doing like these smaller series here. This was great. This is a great series. I mean, I always said my number one, thing I talked about this book when I brought it up on the show is just that it was so much different than other things he's done. Like the pacing, like it was a very slow paced book, and the way that the story was being told was different. And he's kind of, I've read some things that he said online about this book. He said this is one of his favorite things that he's done in years, just because it is so much different than everything else he's done. And it's true. It's just he took a way different approach to this book, and along with the artist, they told a lot of the story through the artwork, and just like it's like a story that's worth like kind of like a cinematic. You can see it being like an episode of like an HBO crime drama series or like a movie or something like that, honestly. So I don't know if that's what they were going for in this, but it's been really good. So at the end of the last issue, like the dude that helped this child ended up getting killed. Like there was a kid that was going to get his mother got assassinated, and he kind of took the kid under his wing and tried to go off the grid with him and save him and basically protect this kid. And this rich guy, for whatever reason, I guess he sent people after them, and they ended up tracking him down, and he ended up getting killed, but the kid got away. This issue, it opens up, this is 10 years into the future, and that is the kid on the cover, and he's an adult now. And the guy that I guess sent the killers after him, this rich douchebag here, he basically finally gets arrested, and he gets sent to prison, but it's like a Club Med type situation where it's like he's got the run of the prison. They're bringing him his dinner in bed. He plays tennis. He can sit in his room and watch movies. He can go swimming here. He has like a girl come to his room and sleep with him every night that he wants. So like he's got the run of the place. This is just some rich guy that they fucking are, just sending there to make a point, I guess, but it's not actually him actually serving out his time in like a prison for crimes that he, you know what I mean? Like it's not a hard prison or by any means, right? So it's basically he's just he's living his life in this prison for now, and he's already working his way out of this. Like he's already figuring a way out with his people that they're gonna actually, yeah, there she goes, going down on him in that scene. He's already figuring a way out throughout this issue of like how to get out of the prison. Like his people are already working an angle for him to get out, and he's like in this issue he's like, yeah, get me out by the end of the week. I've had enough of this shit. And so he's getting women going down on him. He's doing coke, and as you can see in that one panel there, he'll turn the camera off when he goes and does drugs, so he don't have any incriminating evidence against him. And the guards are sitting in the room as they're watching, and they're like, "Oh, it looks like the camera went out again. Oh, that faulty wiring." So they're basically just turning their just turning their back on this whole situation. He's got everybody in his pocket, this guy, right? So he's sitting here getting massage, and he's talking to his lawyer about how he's going to get out by the end of the week and everything in this one scene. And, getting a naked massage here. And all of a sudden, he goes to his room for the night, and somebody comes in, opens the door, and he's like, "Go away, I didn't ask for anything," or whatever tonight. Dude comes in, pulls the spray paint out of his bag, blacks out the camera, looks like he's dressed as a guard. And all of a sudden, the guards again are like, "Oh yeah, I must be up to his old, doing some drugs or whatever again. Oh, went out again. Oh, how about that?" Meanwhile, this is the kid. He actually made his way into into his room, posing as a security guard. Fucking hangs a rope from the top crate. And this guy starts shitting and pissing himself in fear, and he forces him basically to hang himself, and ends up killing the guy because he's like, he makes some comment, and he's like, and he says something about his family or something like that, and he's like, my family's dead, my mother's dead. He made sure of that, and basically they allude to the fact that this man was actually his father. And he actually sent those killers after, I guess, his mother, because he had this like love child or something like that, like, I guess, which is him, because he makes a reference to him, being his father or something here. And it all kind of comes together, and you kind of figure out, I mean, maybe why he went and did this in the first place, because up till now you didn't really have a clear picture on that. And yeah, there and then he goes and sees the guards who was going to go visit him because they got worried because they felt like it was taking a long time. And he's like, "Oh yeah, hey, listen, I'm the guy who brought the whores in for him tonight. Don't just leave him be." He's like, "I'll give him his privacy." While he's sitting there hung with shit dripping off of him. I'm like, that's fucking dark, but he deserved it. He was a piece of garbage. He's the whole reason that we had all the shit happen to these people unsuspectedly, and that the guy who was just trying to do a good thing and help this kid in the first 10 issues ended up getting killed. That's all because of this piece of shit. And at the end of the issue, you see a flashback as his buddy who met him in the parking lot is driving them off, and he's like, "How'd it go?" He's like, "Yeah, it's successful. Let's get the fuck out of here." Gets in the car, and you see him kind of put his arm out the window, and he has a flashback to the time when he did that when he was a kid with this guy who basically saved his life. That didn't need to. He's just a random dude that he came across, right? And then they go off into the sunset here. It was actually a really great end. Really great art, really great story, and fuck that guy. So 4.5. 4.5. This was a great series. Honestly, it's a really great series. You pick it up. I think it's going to be collected within the 2 or 3 trade paperbacks. If you didn't end up reading this in issues, I highly recommend it. Really great, and it ended on such a really good note. Somebody got their comeuppance, which is always good. Next up, I got Bone Orchard, Mythos, 10,000 Black Feathers. Bear with me here, guys, because this is me talking about my last few books here. They're all Image titles, so I got an Image-orama here for you guys. All things I'm happy to say I'm not dropping right now either. So this is Bone Orchard Mythos, 10,000 Black Feathers, one of the longest titles for a book ever. So this is the new Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrentino book. It's a horror book. It was a really good first issue. They did like an original graphic novel, like something that just came out as a hardcover prior to this series. And it seemed it's going to be a weird format where they bring out some stuff they're going to bring out in a hardcover without issues. Some things are just going to be issues of a mini series. Some of them is going to be ongoing series. Apparently it's going to be all these things that are connected somehow. So I've already read the graphic novel. This is the mini series that's coming out, 1 of 5. This issue as number 1. This is a really great start of this miniseries. I thought it was great. It's about this girl who goes back to Hamilton. Actually, I guess she grew up, or she was living with a foster family or in Hamilton when she was younger, and she gets on the bus and ends up going back there in this. And if you know Canada, even like the scenes that they were showing, and it's like downtown Hamilton with all like the pollution and all like the actual like the factories and shit there. And actually, like, there was other pages of art I'm not showing, which were like, if you've been there, you're like, yeah, this is actually a great, the artist did a great job of showing this. She goes back there, and then it goes to a flashback of when she met this girl who became her friend when she went there with a foster family when she was younger. And she found out that her friend found out that they both have a love for the reason why she became her friend, of like fantasy and, you know, like Dungeons and Dragons and all this kind of shit. Like they're really into fantasy novels and this kind of stuff. And she goes there and she ends up going back to the house where she grew up. And you find out the girl's dead now, but she reconnects with her mother. She's the one that answers the door here with the crazy hair. And she was a young mother, I guess, when she had her and when she used to come over to the house. And through the flashbacks, you find all this stuff out about these characters and, you know, why she's gone back there. And basically, by the end of the issue, it seems like somehow this girl, when she was younger, tragically got killed. She may have been involved somehow, or maybe the fact that they played around with magic or something happened, and we're not really too sure about what it is as of yet, but like feathers play a big part in it. The art's great. He flips around with 2 different art styles in this. There might be like a Cthulhu type of aspect to this. So I don't know what the hell's going on as of yet. It's a mystery, but it's got me hooked already with the first issue. I kind of need to know what the hell's going on. And it was really moody and atmospheric. And if you guys are in the mood for like a kind of cool horror comic for Halloween coming up, I would definitely check out the first issue of this. This was really well done. So I gave this one also a 4.5. It was a really great issue. Yeah, so definitely check that out. All right, next up we got Do a Power Bomb number 4. You know, as we talked about recently when we talked about some of our favorite comics coming out right now, this is definitely in the mix. And this was another great issue. I think that this one, they kind of it moved the story along probably like the least amount so far out of every issue, but this is kind of a breather in the middle of the whole miniseries. I think it's only going to be 7 issues. But there was montages in it. There was a training montage in this. There was 2 of them, by the way. There was not one with the opposing team that they ended up facing, but then 2 with another montage here with her and her father that she doesn't know is her actual father, that her tag team made in this wrestling tournament. So I'm a sucker for a montage. So this gets a 4.5 right off the bat just for the montage scenes. I love a good 80s type of training montage. You gotta love that kind of shit. And yeah, basically in this issue, they take out their next tag team opponents. And there's a whole other aspect to the end of the story here where there's another family member who is a wrestler as well. From Earth, that's representing an Earth team in the tournament. She finds out that she was not aware of that also made his way to the tournament. And by the end of this issue, he ends up getting his neck cracked during the tournament. So now the stakes have never been higher. Not only have they taken out her, her uncle, but she's also playing for her mother's life to resurrect her mother in this tournament. So yeah, there's a lot on the line. The stakes are high in this. The art is great. There's real wrestling moves being made. This is somebody that actually knows wrestling that's drawing this comic. So it's fantastic. Another great issue. And, yeah, Chris, you got to get caught up, man. When I see you next week.
Soon.
By the end of at the last page here, he's like, oh, yeah, after the uncle gets his neck cracked, he's like, oh, you want to play old school wrestling? Here we go. He grabs a barbed wire chair and bat. He's like, let's do this. Right? So he's pissed, this guy. So we're going to see what happens next issue. So it's really good. So I guess that also, like I said, a 4.5 for that reason, man. So there you go. And
nice.
Last but not least, we got the Silver Coin number 14. Another great issue once again. This one's written by Porznak Pichot. I don't even know how to say that guy's name. Michael Walsh drew it as always. Basically, this issue is another great one and done. That's in this one, it takes place, I guess, at the start of the pandemic or in the middle of the pandemic. And, you know, it was kind of bothersome, some of the shit they were going over in this issue because, you know, who wants to remember a lot of that shit, even though we all lived through it at this point. But there was like, you know, a scene where they went to like the grocery store and everything was gone, like shit like that. So it's kind of focusing more on, I think, on the trauma and the shit that was going on in people's heads at that time. And I guess these people are getting pushed over the edge for certain things going on in their lives at the time. And the guy comes across this coin, which you don't find out to the end. And all of a sudden he imagines all these people in their lives as characters that we've encountered so far in the series throughout other issues that are trying to come to kill him. At the end, you find out, of course, the hook is that none of these people are actually there. It's all in his head, and he ends up killing a bunch of them and basically, getting taken out by the end of this, or their neighbor or something ends up shooting him because he's just out on the lawn swinging an axe and killing all of their neighbors and friends. So, yeah, so it's a pretty brutal kind of reveal at the end there. But great art as always. Another solid issue of the Silver Coin. Again, this was also my top 5 favorite current reads coming out right now, and I give this issue a 4. This is another really great one and done, and yeah, always look forward to this one. All right. So I wasn't supposed to do 4 in a row. I was supposed to do 2 and 2, but I fucked up. All right. Now we got 3 in a row to end out the show here, guys. That me and Chris both read. Chris, why don't you talk for a little bit here? Savage Avengers number 5, man.
Savage Avengers number 5. My sound coming through okay?
Yeah, man.
Okay, because I hear my backlash. But anyways, let's see. What do we got? So we got Savage Avengers number 5 here. We have Weapon X gets powered up by Deathlock. I think he shoots him up with some gamma bomb or some gamma energies. That was crazy. Anti-Venom gets juiced up by Dagger. Black Knight lets loose the Blood Wraith. And Conan is alive again. That was good with where that came out from. That kind of came out of nowhere. I thought Conan was sort of written off because they lost the license to him, but I guess they still got him for a little bit. And they kind of gave him a true send-off, if this was his send-off.
I think it was. I think this was it here, and I'm happy.
Isn't that one where he died? He just seemed to die like, he sliced across his neck and he was dead. I go, what? That's all they're going to do for this, this iconic character that they've had for so long, and they just slice him in the neck. Okay, you're dead. And so I thought that was great, and they battle set, they do what they need to do, and they end up at 2099. That's a pretty decent cliffhanger. I liked it.
Yeah, my favorite part about this issue is basically is the fact that they actually did a great send off to Conan at the end of this. They kind of did like a whole page there of showing different moments in his life, kind of looking like the old school Conan type art style there, like Barry Windsor Smith or something like that. And then you have him on the throne as King Conan, and yeah, it kind of rang true to even what we saw in the most recent King Conan miniseries. So I really liked that. Like like you said, like it didn't deserve the send off if that was him just getting killed out of nowhere in the last issue. So this was much more proper, I felt, and I think this is it for him now. And yeah, it ended off with Punisher 2099. I'm a huge fan of Punisher 2099.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. So I mean, like the one negative I have about this, again, and I jumped off and I jumped back on because Chris got me kind of interested in what was happening again, so I'm reading it digitally right now. The exposition, like the actual narration of this story, now that it's not going to be Conan, like moving forward, I think that's it for him. Is it going to change up, or is it always going to have a narration box attached to it? And I get that's like very old school way of doing comics and stuff like that, and I don't mind it sometimes when they do it, but this just always feels so overridden to me that it bothers me, and I hope that they're going to steer away from that if they're going to go into the 2099 storyline. Like I thought maybe that was just because of Conan that he was doing that. If that's the case, I'm going to continue reading this moving forward, because that's the one thing that still bothers me about this series, because the art's great. There's a bunch of fun characters in it. There's some interesting things going on. So like the fact that they ended it with Punisher 2099, I'm definitely gonna at least check out the next issue. But if there's more narration, I don't know, man. I don't like how there's so much words in this, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, like, and the narration sometimes just doesn't fit. Like the narration will go into the words where the person's talking or something. It's like, what's going on here? Just sometimes it's just not done. It's not done properly. If it's done properly, it's great.
Exactly.
But something's just wrong with all this narration.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. I've read other books where they've done that kind of thing, where they're trying to make it throwbacky and all this, but it's something about the way he's doing it, this writer, that I'm not loving. So I hope he drops it with the next issue, with the fact that Conan's not in the book anymore. I thought maybe that was why he was doing it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, it was a cool ending for sure. What'd you give this?
I think I'll give it a 4. I liked all those people getting powered up and everything. I thought it was great.
Nice.
And then, and the Conan send off and coming back to life, just a lot of stuff that came out of nowhere.
Nice. Yeah, no, I'm gonna give it a 3.5, but that's just because of the criticisms I kind of said about the narration for the most part. Otherwise, I thought this was a decent issue compared to the other ones. I felt like there was a couple of good moments in this between the Conan and Punisher stuff. So, all right. Next up, we got Jurassic League number 5. One more issue to go after this one. What'd you think of this, Chris?
It's still a fun little story to read. I like how the bad guys just like to eat people, and that seems to be what they want to do. And I got the little human. He starts to speak dinosaur. The dinosaurs are starting to understand him. I'm kind of starting to like these characters a bit more, like the batosaur, whatever they want to call him. That's kind of fun. And I guess at the end, what's that? Darkseid is heading over to Themyscira, or whatever they want to call it. And Superman says, "No, I got to stay back here to protect Metropolis." Then he realizes he's got to go help fight. So it's fun watching the fight go on. That's like I say, one issue. I'm still down to read to finish it out.
This was my favorite part of the issue where he does like the whole Superman moment, and his father's like, "Atta boy, go get him, son." And he sees like the whole thing of his father or whatever. Here's the thing. They just took too long to get to these moments for this series. I think this had a lot of potential to be a lot more fun, but they should have kind of gave us these moments earlier on, because we all know who these characters are supposed to be. Why don't you just
they don't gotta hide them, and then like at the end you bring out all these other characters. They could have had all these kind of key moments, just dinosaur versus of all of them. Like you didn't have to focus on Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
Yeah. No, agreed. I mean, like at the end here, like half the other characters show up here. The Justice League, they've barely had any.
Yeah, they might have like one page or maybe 2-3 pages each to them, where they could add some. They could have done some fun stuff with them.
Yeah, I felt that just the pacing was off on this. I mean, the art has been fun. The story this is probably my favorite issue, actually, quite frankly, of the miniseries. I just think it took too long to get to this point.
Yeah.
I had lost interest, I feel like, somewhere along the way, because I was just like, this could be so much better, but I feel like they're not swinging for the fences in this series. I'm like, know, ridiculous concept to begin with. You don't have to.
Yeah, they should have just went all out ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, that's yeah, but yeah, it was good. I like this issue. I did really like those Superman moments and her against the Darkseid, dinosaur there. So, what'd you give this one?
I was giving it a 3.5. Wasn't my favorite, but it was a big week though, or a good week.
Yeah, absolutely. Really solid week with the amount for the amount of books we had, right? So yeah, I'll give it a 3.5 as well. All right, and last but not least, we got Amazing Spider-Man number 9, the book that should have came out like, I don't know, like 4 months ago or something like that. That's the tie-in to the Hellfire Gala. Where they left off, basically, Mary Jane went into a portal who was being controlled by Moira McTaggart that infiltrated the Hellfire Gala. And in this issue, Spider-Man and Wolverine basically go after her, knowing this. So, yeah, what'd you think of this one, Chris?
Well, when this first came out, or when the Hellfire Gala came out, you had to wait so long for this to happen. I was a little upset about that. But that recap they have for the Hellfire Gala, I thought that was freaking awesome. I thought it was the best.
Dame, this 2-page spread right here.
Yeah, like what the perfect way to recap that. You kind of see the Hellfire Gala from Spider-Man's point of view, because you don't really get that when you're reading the. You can't focus on him, of course, because it's the Hellfire Gala. Yeah. And this was just freaking awesome. And they got him or I guess they have him in some machine trying to remember what happened to get some clues for what's going on. And then, once Spider-Man starts getting serious, when they're after him, him and Wolverine, that's always gold, those two guys together. I can't say enough about this issue, even just kind of fun stuff about talking about the teleporter, and then, Wolverine's giving him trouble. His name's Gateway or whatever.
How about the Patrick Gleason artwork in this issue, though? My God, that was
the perfect issue for him to come back and do it too,
His Wolverine, I love the Wolverine. Hold on, I'll show you the page. I mean, look, let me show you the page that right here.
Yeah.
Short and fucking hairy, and his
that's the way Wolverine should be, the short freaking stocky guy, like a freaking little tank.
The perfect Wolverine, honestly, the way he drew him here in these scenes, and then like you got these amazing scenes of Spider-Man, like no pun intended there, like he's swooping in and he's throwing the spider bombs that he's got now. That was awesome. You know, yeah, the art is what put this issue over the top for me. Quite frankly, I felt that the story was fine. There was nothing wrong with it. You hit on the main point I wanted to make, was the fact that because they had been gone for so long from this story plot, that 2-page spread opening of like basically them summing everything up.
Yeah, just basically any interaction he had there. The one with Mr. Sinister,
Yeah.
with Captain America, like, you know, it's just kind of a little word bubble, but it was all fun stuff.
Yeah, but I love for a Spider-Man Wolverine team up. Yeah, they brought this artist in.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, perfect timing. Absolutely. I mean, the story was fine. Like, I didn't mind the story, but I mean, it was a, you know, a nice one and done type of tale. But the art is what really kind of drove it home for me. Is that I'm like, if you put another artist on this would have been just fine. But this was really good, I think, as a result of the art as well on this one. So yeah, that's. And then you even got this great moment at the end where once again he lets MJ down, right? I mean, there's she has this whole sad walk away kind of scene, and they just have open white like all around them. It's a great layout that he did.
Well, at least you find out that, like, you know, MJ has to kind of recognize Spider-Man. You know, she's calling him Peter in here, but she doesn't really say what's going on. You know, like, it's not like, oh, I don't like you or whatever. It's like, you know, I can't do this. You know, it's about responsibility. It's leaving a lot of, you know, like that moment they had together is like, oh, it's finally something. And then freaking they just turn around and crush you right after. And like you say, that big freaking walk away, he's just there standing like, wow, like, and you still don't know what he did and what's going on.
Wolverine knows what happened. Like, he makes reference.
He's heard stories.
Yeah. Wolverine makes reference to it in this issue, right? But I mean, like, yeah, you know, again, they are teasing us with whatever this is. This better be
freaking good, whatever they're coming up with, whenever they decide to do it.
Yeah, it's not
better be a monster.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be disappointing, whatever way you look at it. So I'm just like, whatever about this, to be honest with you.
I know. I'm getting pulled down the rabbit hole. I'm freaking loving this. I love this issue.
Yeah, great series.
I wear the freaking Spider-Man shirt for this.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say, it's Spider-Man in his old suit. You didn't need the new suit for this.
I agree. That stupid glowing spider. I mean,
yeah,
I agree. Yeah, it is.
But, you know, not only had to use any of the tricks for this, they could have just said, you know, I just have my old suit with me. You know, they just had him running around in that Hellfire Gala suit. And what's this? That was a prank for him to get invited to the Hellfire Gala to begin with?
Yes.
I just wanted to see if he'd wear this suit or not.
Yeah, no, it was funny. Yeah, great. Another great issue, man. Amazing Spider-Man, again, was in both of our top 5s of our favorite current reads, guys, that we talked about in the last episode there, or 2 episodes ago now, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. It's continuing on its hot streak, I feel. What'd you give this one, Chris?
I'll give it a 4.25. I want to give it more, but I know it doesn't deserve it. I think I'm just too hyped on this comic for most of the stories, what's going on, just because MJ's in there. And
yeah, I agree with you. I'm only going to give it a 4, but again, that's based off the art. I thought the story was good in this, but nothing like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to I'm going to stick with a 4 on this one due to the art as well, or also would have been like a 3.5, 3.75.
Oh, I want to give this a 4.5. I love this story. This is my favorite comic. It's the first comic I read.
Oh, wow.
It set out the whole night.
This is also the first comic I read, but wow, 4.5 on the story. You know what I mean? Interesting. Yeah. So I think
they got me down with this freaking what the heck happened? Why are they apart? Where are they going? Like, the soap opera part of the story has got me freaking hooked. It's killing me. I hate it. And I love it at the same time.
It was definitely the best part about this issue is that end with her and him, right? So yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well, there you go, guys. Those are the comics we read and wanted to talk about this week. Let's talk about what we're picking up next week, shall we, Chris?
Sure thing. Let's see. We got Axe 5, Avengers Forever 9, Edge of Spider-Verse 4, Fantastic Four 47, World's Finest 7, Deceased 2, Iron Cat 4, Jane Foster Mighty Thor 4, New Mutants 30, Catwoman 47, the Harley Quinn, the 30th anniversary issue, I think. Is that next week?
Yeah.
Strange 6, Avengers 60, Exterminators, Vampire DC versus Vampires All Out War, freaking Nightwing 96. Boom. Wow.
Huge week.
List.
Yeah, same with me. You got Batman, the night number 9, Batman, Superman, World's Finest. DC versus Vampires All Out War, number 3. Deceased, War of Undead Gods, number 2. Harley Quinn 30th Anniversary, Nightwing 96. Axe Judgment Day, number 5. Is that correct? Why do I have that?
I think so. They're coming. I know they seem to be back to back.
Wow. Creep Show, number 1. Public Domain, number 4. Shaolin Cowboy, Cruel to Be Kin, number 5. Strange, number 6. X-Men Unlimited, X-Men Green, number 2. And did you? I know we talked about this, Chris, but maybe you didn't pre-order it. I don't know if I heard it in your list.
The Vanish.
Yeah. Did you pre-order it?
I didn't pre-order. You might have to pick that one up for me if you're getting it in the store. I don't know if you're getting it though.
We'll see, because I remember. I'm sure we ordered.
I remember we talked about it, and I think it might have been past its time.
Gotta get on this one, Chris. This is supposed to be a hot book. This Vanish, man.
I might have to just make a run to the store on Wednesday, to another store on Wednesday, and hope they have it there.
Do not miss out on this book. The way this.
It's a Stegman one too, right?
Yes, it's Stegman.
Is he drawing it?
Yes, Stegman and Cates. This is their book. This is Stegman and Cates create their own book, and it's a superhero in the Image universe. Like, you got to get this book, man. Like, yeah.
On Tuesday, if you go there, if you get a chance to pick me up a copy, if your store ordered like a bunch, let me know. If not, on Wednesday, I'll run out and
we'll talk. We'll
see. After that Amazing Spider-Man, whatever 1000, they had a Stegman story in there, right? Yeah, I got to get that.
Yeah, you got to get this. You got to get on Vanish, guys. That's the new Donny Cates Stegman book from Image Comics. Number 1 comes out next week. So, yeah, huge week for both of us. Great week of books. I think me and Chris are going to probably get together to record next week. So you'll see us, here in the home base here for Comic Shop Talk. And that'll be a good one. All right, Chris. That being said, oh, my God, is that your fire alarm?
That's not me.
Oh my God, it's mine. It's on fire.
Your collectibles.
That book is so hot. The fire alarm's going off. All right, guys. Let's get into get to the point of the show here. We're going to talk about our favorite book of the week, though. I can probably guess Chris's. I don't know, at least for some of the enthusiasm.
Well, I can talk about some of the bad things I read, though, too, this week. Or maybe it was last week. I read some of those Dark Crisis tie-ins.
Oh, yeah.
What's that? The World Without, I think, Wonder Woman. It might have even been The World Without the Flash, or no, the Green Lantern. And I read some of the Flash there because that was a big thing that was going in. Garbage. Skip them. Don't worry about them. Just read Dark Crisis. It's fine on its own. Yeah. And my favorite for this week is, it's Spider-Man, of course.
Oh, you scared me there for a second. I was like, what? No way. All right. And my favorite for this week is going to be, I missed out on giving it to you for the first ending of a book that you did recently, Remender, but I'm going to give it to you for Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. Got to give it to this guy, because while I liked books just as much as this one this week, there was a couple other contenders. This stuck the landing on a good series overall. So I'm going to give it to you this week, Remender, Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, number 11 on that one. I can't give it to Do a Powerbomb every issue, guys. I've done it for, I think, the last 3 issues, right? And this week was, again, it was a contender. It could have had pick of the week, favorite of the week there, right? But no, I'm gonna give it to that.
Well, that was the thirst for vengeance. It sounded like he quenched his thirst.
Yes, exactly. That's right. The righteous thirst for vengeance has been quenched. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Thank you once again for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed. Tell your friends if they're into podcasts, if they're into comic book shows, definitely make them check this show out. Get our subscriber count up. Yeah, I love to see it. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Chris, thank you as always.
All right, man. Read comics. Some weeks are good. Some weeks are great. This is a good one.
Absolutely. See you next week, guys.